It was a warm summer evening when I first saw it. My stepmother, Diane, was outside with our horse, Sugar, in the pasture. I had been watching them from my bedroom window, enjoying the peaceful scene. But then, something strange happened. Diane's face contorted into a grotesque expression as she lunged at Sugar's neck. At first, I thought she was trying to groom her or something, but then I saw the blood. She was biting into Sugar's neck and drinking its blood. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My mind raced with questions. Was she insane? Was she a vampire? I watched in horror as she continued to feed on Sugar, her eyes closed in ecstasy. I knew I had to do something, but I was frozen in fear. It was then that I noticed something odd about her appearance. Her skin was pale, and her eyes were a strange, piercing green color. After that dreadful day, I became increasingly aware of my stepmother's unusual behavior. There were times when I would catch her staring at me with her piercing green eyes, and I would feel a cold shiver run down my spine. One night, I was awakened by strange noises coming from the kitchen. I cautiously crept downstairs, trying not to make any noise. As I approached the kitchen, I saw Diane standing in front of the open fridge, her back to me. But what she was doing sent chills down my spine. She had a live chicken in her hands, and she was draining its blood into a cup. I could see the fear in the poor bird's eyes as it struggled to break free, but Diane held it firmly in place. That was when I knew for sure that she was someone else. Something not human. I knew I had to tell my father, but when I tried, he wouldn't listen. It was as if he was under her spell, unable to see her for what she truly was. I felt helpless and alone. I was convinced that I was the only one who knew the truth about Diane, and that no one would believe me. I knew I had to do something, but I didn't know what. Days turned into weeks, and the strange occurrences continued. I would find dead animals in the woods behind our house, drained of their blood. And every time I tried to talk to my father, he would brush me off, telling me that I was imagining things. One evening, as I was lying in my bed, Diane appeared before me. I felt a chill run down my spine. Diane noticed that I am scared of her. She asked if I was afraid of her. I hesitated for a moment, not wanting to upset her. But then I nodded. She looked down, sadness etched on her face. "I understand," she said softly. "I will leave this house and never return." I was surprised by her words, but also relieved. I knew that she had been a danger to me and my father, and I was grateful that she had finally accepted that. Next morning, as I made my way to the kitchen, I noticed that something was different. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I looked around, trying to figure out what was missing, and then it hit me. Diane was gone. I searched the house, but she was nowhere to be found. All of her belongings were gone. I tried to tell my father about Diane's sudden departure, but he seemed confused and disoriented. It was as if he had no recollection of the events that had occurred, and I realized with a sense of sadness that Diane had most likely used her powers to erase his memory. I couldn't help but wonder where Diane had gone and what she was doing. Had she left town, or was she still out there somewhere, living her life as a vampire? Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Life went on, and I slowly began to forget about Diane. I focused on my studies, my job, and my relationships, building a life for myself. But every once in a while, I couldn't help but wonder where Diane was and what she was doing. And although I knew that I might never see her again, I couldn't help but feel a sense of sadness and nostalgia for the stepmother who had once been a part of my life.